So, okay, cool.
Just heated some coffee. I'm good. All right.
Okay.
Hey, everybody. Doug, you guys know each other?
Who's that?
Well, it just sounds like you guys knew each other.
Now, I just thought I'd send a friendly shout out. That's all.
Oh, no, I'm just teasing.
Just as a preemptive strike, because we've all at one point or another had a little audio faux pas.
Yeah,
That
well,
is broadcast to the entire room.
yeah, it's a constant battle. If you're an online trainer like me, you get used to it eventually. I have a feeling that this communication software is going to get better to where it'll know when somebody isn't really engaged, if you know what I mean.
Right.
We'll see what happens on that, but
I'm here alone right now. I hope I didn't say anything to myself. That means I'm
no,
starting.
I didn't hear anything. You're good.
Okay.
And I,
You didn't
you
hear
know,
any voices that were too loud coming from your head. That's all.
I'm recording this right now, but I'll probably snip the front off of it. It's fine.
Okay.
So let's see before we get started here. Oh, okay. So welcome back, everybody. Everybody doing well? Hopefully so. I think hopefully some of you did the homework and saw some light at the end of the tunnel. Does anybody feel that way?
It's coming, but I'm not going to get too cocky. There's still a long way to go.
Yeah, but like, there's a point in this class where we're all kind of singing Kumbaya and the waterfall together as far as security. So is anybody feeling decent about security?
I think for me, it's just a lot to know and a lot to keep straight.
Okay. I'm going to tell you why we aren't there yet. It's because you haven't demoed it before. So I keep bringing up the ability to demo. So there's one more slice of the pie when it comes to security, because we've got all the way through the sharing rules. The very last one is field level security. So we need to cover that. But then after that, I want everybody, since this is a workshop and there's really no time restriction, what I want to do is I want everybody to demo it over and over until we get it. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
What that means is I'm going to send you to the board, okay? You're going to teach the class. Because if you really want to understand something, you have to teach other people how to do it. Because they're going to ask you questions. You're not going to know the answer, and you're going to have to figure them out. So keep in mind that this is recorded. They won't know necessarily who you are, per se. They might just hear your voice. If you're worried about that, you feel free to not participate. But at the same time, I think it will be extremely helpful to the group as well as anybody else that's coming behind us and watching this for you to engage, even if they might say your first name, right? If you want to introduce yourself, by all means, feel free. But I'm not trying to ruin anybody's privacy here. Just keep in mind that we are recording. But what I need is for people to demo, right? And that's what we're going to do. So we'll talk about the very last layer, and then we're just going to demo together. And at first, it's going to be hard, but the more we do it, the better you'll get at it. And eventually, you'll just have kind of a process for who sees what and what to do in every situation. It's kind of like the fundamental theorem of calculus. First time I saw them pull that variable out of the sky from nowhere and solved two other variables with the variable that they yanked out of the sky, I was like, whoa. And some people in the room probably know what I'm talking about. Others may not. But at the same time, it's just one of those moments. It's like you have to really conceptually understand it and be able to reproduce it in any situation. So that's what we're going to do. But first, let me shut this door so the dog doesn't interrupt us here. First, we have to finish up our understanding of security. Did anybody try any of the homework and need help?
So Ryan, this is
Mhm.
Mona. Hi, how are you?
Good. You?
Good.
Good.
Yeah, I don't have actually a question regarding this homework assignment. That went fine, but I went ahead and did some extra work on Salesforce, and I have questions regarding the fields. I was creating the custom fields, and I was coming across some issues. So I don't know if you want me to show you
Sure.
right now or
Share
later.
your screen. That's fine.
Okay.
And this is, I keep calling it a class. It's a workshop, right? So we don't have time to contend with. So the beginning of the class for questions is great because these case studies are real. I've got some contrived ones I've been giving you, but she has some stuff we can see, and you can see how I go about solving it, which might help you in the future. So please do go ahead. What's the problem?
All right.
What's the
So
requirement? The real question is, what's the requirement?
what's the requirement?
Yeah,
So
what are you trying to do here before we
okay,
get started?
so this is what I ended up doing. I put a scenario in my head that I'm creating an app for hospital.
Okay.
So I ended up creating an app for the hospital, and then I created a page object called patient, and under the patient, I'm creating all these necessary fields like patient's name,
Okay.
gender, all this information. And so here, where's the problem is coming, the gender. I was creating the data type as just male or female. So I put the data type, I chose the data type as checkbox. When I went to the record, it's not really showing the checkbox. So let me show you this one.
Okay,
It's
number
not
one, before you move on,
yes.
gender. Okay, does anybody see what the problem is already? I'm just wondering.
From what I'm seeing is in the description, male comma female, it should be all single line, like one item per line.
Well, see, we haven't covered this yet. So I'm gonna go ahead and tell you what this is what we're gonna move into after we get done with security, by the way. We are working in it currently. This would be a custom application in a custom object, and she's creating fields. Could you go back once on your browser for me? What data type is this field?
It's a checkbox.
All right, so what is a checkbox?
It's you give an option as yes or no, or
Yeah, it's
female,
on or
male.
off, right? So gender
Right.
isn't an on or off, is it?
Yeah, it's a click option.
What you need here is which data type. Does anybody know?
It would be a field, right?
Well, that's a field she's creating.
It needs to be a pick list.
It
Pick
needs to be a
list,
pick list data type.
Yeah,
See how she has the values listed in description?
Ah.
So what you need, you have the wrong data type here. Data type in Salesforce is what they call standard data validation. So by choosing the type of field that you're creating, they have like different powers or abilities, right? So if you choose the pick list here and hit next, what it's going to do is allow you to select male or female as two separate values, one on top of the other. So hit next, top right-hand corner up there. Okay, so now in that big box up there, enter values with each value separated by a new line, just type male and then enter. And then female, or female, enter and then male, right?
Right.
There are some options here as far as field creation, but we really don't want any of that. We don't care about alphabetically. I mean, we could, I guess. Use first value as default. There's only one time we should do this. When is that? Does anybody know the answer to this? What does that mean if I use the first value as default?
Then in this example, male will always be the first option.
So what do people do? What do users do when they see a filled out field?
They leave it alone.
right past it.
They tab through, right? So we don't want that here, do we? We want an actual choice. So uncheck that checkbox. We want it to be like male or female question mark, and you have to choose something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then go down to next, bottom right-hand corner. You could also restrict pick list value. Oh, and that's a good one, probably for this one. Restrict pick list values defined in the value set. Like you don't want somebody to write like, you know, hippopotamus in there or something. Right? So that third checkbox.
Right.
And then next. Now she's doing this through the setup tree, so it's given her the ability to select field level security here. We'll talk about this in a moment, so continue. And there you go. Now you should have a field called gender. So go to your app, go to the application that you created in the app launcher. And then go to the record of interest that the gender field was on. It was patients, right?
Yes.
So if you select patients, look, notice it says recently viewed here. Go to all. She probably hasn't looked at a record yet.
I didn't create any.
You didn't, okay, so now you would need to create a record. Hit new. Is there a gender field?
Yes.
What data type is it?
Look at that. Okay. It's a checkbox.
No, it's not a checkbox.
Oh, sorry. Pick list. Pick
Yeah.
list.
You see?
All right.
Go ahead and save, and you're good. Anybody else have a question? You feel better now, don't you?
I do. I actually have another question. I was also
Go
trying
ahead.
to do the patient ID, and for some reason, I wanted to have the patient ID as a unique number, and I was following the format which was given, and for some reason that wasn't working either.
Huh.
So,
Now, wait, she said she was following the format that she was given, and it didn't work. Did everybody hear that? ClickPath doesn't work. Everybody understand what I'm talking about here when I say ClickPath?
Yeah, just going in the order that it tells you.
Yeah, because when is that ever going to happen in reality if you're a consultant or an admin or a developer? When are they going to be like, here's a list of the stuff we need and just hand it to you?
Probably never.
Zero. Right? So the question here is, what's the field going to be called? Patient ID, right?
right.
Okay, so why are they collecting patient ID?
To identify, make it unique. I mean, I don't know.
So what is a field? You're creating a field, right?
Right.
What is a field in Salesforce?
Column.
It's a column, right? So we're creating a column in our table called patient ID. What is the reason for that field? Why are we collecting it?
For data.
Well, we're collecting it so we can identify it from other records with something other than a name. You see?
Mm-hmm.
Usually in this situation, there is some other application that they're creating that ID with, in my experience. Salesforce, you wouldn't necessarily need the patient ID, you would need the record ID because you're pointing to one row in the table. Does that make sense?
So are you saying you wouldn't name it patient ID, Ryan?
No, I'm saying the reason, see, the question isn't whether or not you know how to create the field.
Mm-hmm.
The question is, should you create the field in the first place? So if there's a patient ID number, what that indicates to me is that there is some other application that's generating that ID number, and that's its record ID.
Oh, yeah, so you'd be pulling it in from a different solution.
That's it, a different application from some other non-Salesforce entity.
Yeah, okay.
Because
Or I guess,
otherwise,
Ryan,
why are we creating a patient ID here?
I guess the other requirement might be that whatever destination system that needs an ID has to be different than what the Salesforce ID provides.
Right. Yeah, it's usually some other external application that you're talking about. Oh, well, we've been using this for 1,000 years, and we want to be able to search the patient ID number when we search for a patient. So how do you do that? That's usually what's happening here. Otherwise, what are we going to use to search for the patient?
Their name.
Their name, because it's going to return. Okay, good. Everybody get my drift here? My first question is always, why are you using it? She's just creating it. Why? Well, it told her to. Does that make her an effective resource? Not knocking you personally. I'm just saying if what do I need as a consultant? I need somebody that can see it holistically. Why are we creating this field? Well, they gave me a list of stuff to do and it was number 4. Okay, well, I get that. But really what you need to do is say, because solution architects like me, I make mistakes all the time. I don't ask the right questions. I write down the wrong answer. I come up with the wrong idea. What I need as a solution architect are resources that understand the project holistically enough to be like, why would you need a patient ID here? And if you don't know the answer to that question, what should you do?
Ask.
I would. Right? Because if you just go ahead and create it and there's no use for it, aren't we violating the idea or the ideals of the plunge? Has anybody been in an org where you've had 300 fields on an opportunity record?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, and like 3/4 of them are empty
Mm-hmm.
and nobody knows what to enter. Like there's no way you're going to get adoption that way. Okay, so I'll get off my soapbox here. But I'm sorry to use you an example, but I'm just saying, like, if you don't know why you're creating a field, then you should find out why. And if somebody doesn't like that, they're not very good at their job either.
So Ryan,
Yeah.
in this field type, when do we use auto numbers a lot of times, or majority of the time do we leave this alone? Auto number.
Well, auto number means that it's going to have a generic sequence. So why are you creating a number in Salesforce?
Well, that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to create auto number, patient ID. So
you can start with 00001?
Yeah.
So why?
So I can create a unique ID for the patients?
Well, there's already a unique ID in the form of the record ID that exists within Salesforce itself. So you're creating another number for no reason. Are you with me?
Yes.
Because a record ID points to what?
To the patient's information.
To the row on the table.
Right.
Which is usually associated with name. Your user's going to go and search their name, right? If there's 5 of them, they'll ask for what?
Date of birth.
Phone number, date of birth, right? I mean, so in my opinion, right now, you are creating a field for no reason. Now, if you want
to that, hey Ryan, what
yeah,
about if she's got some pre-existing data from her client and they could import this, like maybe they use a field called patient ID and it's let's say a 12-digit number, and then she could just create this and import that. So
okay, so now there's a good use for a new field. You see?
Mm-hmm.
He has a reason for why he's doing it. So if you want to do that, you're not using an auto number, are you?
Not in my example, no.
No. Well, no, your example is the only reason to do that. What auto number is going to do is every time you create a record, it's just going to start 1, 2, 3, and it's going to display that in sequence. Application 1, application 2, application 3, application 4. In this case, it would be patient 1, patient 2, patient 3, patient 4. So they're counting the number of patients. But it's not that's not how you would use a unique identifier, is it? He mentioned what you would use a unique identifier for. And what was that?
Data from our system.
Yeah, we're bringing something in from somewhere else.
So Ryan, in that situation, I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind, what I've seen, in real life, is like a data migration. So pulling one older CRM system, or it could be even Microsoft, right, into Salesforce.
That's exactly the use case here. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
That's exactly the use case. So if you want to do what she wants to do, you're not going to do it with auto number. What the question then becomes what?
how do I put it in there?
Let me
Okay.
see what one of these numbers looks like. Are they case sensitive? Are they case insensitive? Do they need numbers and letters? Because if they're all just numbers, which data type would we use here?
I think one way that I would go about doing this is first just find out what information do we absolutely positively need, what can we get rid of, and for the stuff that we need, why do we need it?
Well, no,
Then
I'm saying that there's a good use case here. There is an
Right.
external system that has a previously existing ID that we want to associate with records within Salesforce, right?
Mm-hmm.
We were in Act, for instance,
Yeah, right.
and we want to move to Salesforce, or we're in some other CRM and we want to move to Salesforce. So the question is, what is the format of the ID? Let's say it's 6 numbers, no letters. Which data type are we going to use?
The text.
I would use, if it's 6 numbers, no letters, I'm going to use number. So choose number.
Down underneath geolocation.
Mm-hmm. Next. All right, how many digits is it? See the length? Would we say 6? No decimal places. Now look at the 3 checkboxes down here. Required means it's now system generated. Refrain from doing that. Unless you absolutely must have it upon someone seeing a brand new record and you must have that field. Leave that checkbox alone until they want it.
Which one, Ryan? What did you? Which box? I
This
didn't.
one.
The required
Required.
checkbox up
Okay.
there. Because
Okay.
that will make it a system generated field. Anytime you want to import anything, you're going to have that field. It'll be like any other mandatory system generated field in Salesforce. It's a hard require is what I call it. So leave that thing alone until you know you need it. Unique, well, if it's a 6 number thing and we're pointing to a patient, then it's probably unique, right? See the middle value there? Unique, do not allow duplicate values. So you can't have the same ID, right?
Mm-hmm.
So select unique, and then you can also set it as an external ID. That would be the use case for this.
And Ryan, since we're on this, we're talking about 6 digits. The way I think of this is this would be more for a smaller firm. If you're
Yeah,
talking
definitely,
huge, you
because
would need to
they're-
open that up, right?
Yeah, I mean, really what you'll see here is probably some long gobbledygook letters and numbers.
Right, right.
Because the letters and numbers usually mean something in their system.
Mm-hmm.
Did we lose anybody? Probably so, since we haven't covered this yet.
Now, I'm curious, in this formatting, if the numbers were given to be imported and they had like hyphens, let's say you're talking about somebody's social security number, will this number custom field accept the punctuation like the dashes in between the numbers, or does it have to be straight numbers?
All right, please do me a favor. The driver, is it Sonia, right?
Sona, yes.
Sona, sorry. Can you go back one on your browser? And then of the data types, if you wanted credit card number, which data type do you think you would use?
Probably numbers.
Well, keep looking.
No,
No.
like more like a text or text.
Because you need dashes, right? Keep looking.
Yeah.
So look at the different text area fields. Which one do you think you would want for that?
And what is it, text area rich?
Well, what was the requirement?
Let's see.
If they had a dash, I thought you said, right, Bill?
Yes,
A
yes.
dash.
Yeah.
But then somebody said what? Credit card number or social security number?
I did
Social
say social. Just
Social
as an
security
example.
number. So look at the different types of text data types there are. Do you see one that you might want over the others if it's a social security number?
Oh, encrypted.
Oh, wait.
See the encrypted data type?
Yeah.
Yes, right here.
Encrypted. Yeah, you don't want that information out and about.
So select that one. She got into the funky. For whatever reason, when it highlights everything, you're better off to just hit setup and go back.
Oh, did I do something?
Yeah, okay, you're fine. Go back to encrypted. Next.
Right.
There we go. And then for the length, how long is a credit card number? I think it's like 16 or 18. You take American Express, it's 18. Don't require fields because then they won't be able to save the record without the credit card number, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mask type, which one do you want? Well, you can have anything you want as long as it's one of those.
Oh, that's cool.
Which one do you choose? And then the mask character, choose anyone you want as long as it's a star or an X.
This is cool. I had no idea this feature existed. This is
Yeah,
awesome.
me neither.
It's the difference between project work and paint by numbers. I want you to think. What's the first thing we have to collect as admins and developers?
Information.
Well, of
Requirements.
course.
Requirements.
And the
Requirements.
requirements, what's the main requirement we have to know to be successful?
Reason why?
The process.
Well, I would say how they would determine success of whatever the project is.
Well, I got to know what you do. Tell me what happens first. Then what happens? Then what happens? Then what happens? Well, what if this happens? Right? Why are you doing that? Well, it was on the Excel sheet, so we just continue to collect that information. Well, do you use it for anything? No. Whoa, none of this is rocket science. It's just going from what I call arrows in your quiver, like understanding pieces of Salesforce, to having a more holistic understanding of the tool to where you feel comfortable meeting pretty much any requirement, which comes from practice.
So let me ask you, during your intake or your discovery part, would you be walking down a screen with somebody saying,
No.
what about this screen? You've got 50 screens or 50, line items or whatever. Do you need this? What does this do? And you've got 100 questions. Is that
Where am I at? Am I at the very beginning?
Let's say in this example, yes.
Okay, if I'm in the very beginning, all I want them to do is vent. Like, tell me everything wrong with what you've currently got going on.
Yeah, my understanding, Ryan, going on the fly, and again, this is case by case scenario, but most of the time going on the fly can result in some big time failures because if things don't work or, they don't pan out. I mean, I'm just spitballing here. I'm just assuming.
I'm not saying I'm not planning.
Right. But I'm saying, like, if you're sitting down with the client and they say, well, I'd like a field, and you're creating the field on the fly, I feel like, and then she says, okay, well, now I want this one, and then I want this one, and then I want I mean, that could cause some problems, right? Instead of just planning the discovery process first.
Here's what I do. I know this is going to happen, right? No matter who it is.
I can't see your screen.
Oh yeah,
sorry.
Sonia, share.
Should I stop sharing?
I'll get it. I'm sorry. I'm all over the place. Sorry, guys. Sometimes I forget who's presenting. There we go. Good television right there. So, no matter what, I know this is going to happen, right?
Yeah.
Right. Over time, initially, they're going to hate it. I already know that, right? And then they told me back here, did they like it back here? They didn't like it back here either. So either way, there's going to be some stress, some gnashing of teeth, right? There's going to be problems. I know that going in. So what do I do to eliminate problems? Well, as I've said before, I start very simple. What's the first process that I'm going to dive into? I do one process at a time. What's the most important one for a manufacturer of power generation systems? What is the sales process?
But again, Ryan, I think the assumption is the client will give you the availability to do things like you're proposing. I think the other gentleman was saying, bringing you in, they need you to configure some screens on the fly.
That's what
ready,
they
set,
always
go.
think they need, right? That's what they always think they need. They're like, we've got these workarounds that we need you to create. Because what they have done is the following. Who got it in the first place? Sam. Was Sam qualified to configure that in any way that makes sense?
You got his admin cert.
No, he doesn't. Usually he doesn't. If he did, he'd be making 90, 100 grand a year. We already talked about that. Usually when they buy this stuff, initially, productivity over time, Sam is somebody on the inside. Sure, you can configure it yourself. Does everybody remember this from the last class that we talked about this? Some of you may not have been here. But they fall into the plunge and they don't come out. So what happens is the whole time they're down here screaming, what? I hate Salesforce. We can't rely on the data. There's too many fields. We don't know what to do. We never got any training. Don't. All the worst parts. It's just terrible. So then when they hire me, what do they want me to do in their mind? Fix this. Well, can I fix that?
Not quickly.
Not at all.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead. I can't fix that. You know why? Because Sam didn't know what a business process is. So what's the first thing I got to have here? In order to fix it?
Restrictions.
Well,
Business requirements.
I need to know what the process is for that department that I'm working in. Right now, we're talking about the sales process. See that? Because that's the most important process. That's how we make our money. Without that, everything else fails. So first thing I got to know is, what is the sales process? What objects are we going to use here to start, to meet the requirements of this main process?
Needs, opportunities.
Well, we say accounts, contacts, and ops at a minimum, right? What's an account?
The account is the company that they're, the clients.
A business relationship that we want to track. It's a folder, isn't it?
Yes.
What goes in the folder?
The contacts and the opportunities.
What is it about the opportunity that makes it the most important object?
Because that's typically, where the opportunity is, where the money is.
Yeah, which means the business process is what? The sales process. Physically, what is the sales process?
Closing on the deals.
Think about the table. How would you show the sales process on our object or our table?
I'd say $50,000 for Acme widgets.
No.
What stage of the process we're in?
The stage pick list. Right? Prospecting, needs analysis, close loss, close won. If the first thing we do, or the first thing that I do when I consult, is I don't try to solve every problem at once. That's waterfall development. That doesn't work. You guys remember why that doesn't work?
They'll change.
Well, they change and then you never get it done. And that's what this is. This is what I call tail chasing behavior. And when I'm here, they say, help us. And I come in and they think, we're going to get him to do all of our workarounds and fix this. Can I do that?
Not at once.
You can't do it, period. Because Sam didn't set this up with the business process in mind. He just set it up, or she, with whatever they could figure out. They were not qualified to do it. What I'm saying is when I get here, it stops here. Like there's going to be a point where this all stops. And where do I start? Well, I start with the most important process. In this case, it's the sales process. And we nail that down first. Then after everybody starts calling it the system, when people start using it and it just becomes embedded in everything that we do, and everybody understands how that works, and everybody's entering things correctly with a few exceptions, but it's running smoothly and people trust the information. At that point, what might I layer on here? What's more important? Leads or cases, Am I making sense or am I rambling here?
No, so I guess the point of this, Ryan, is if you're not laying the ground work on day one as a consultant, I just been in situations when I used to consult on Oracle, it was like they bring me in and they drive the bus. Either
Yeah, you know what I don't do anymore?
Right.
I don't take those jobs anymore.
Sure.
Right before the whole issue, I had a client and I came in, did business requirements. Well, first I sat down with them. I told them the score. Look, it's like from now on, I get paid by the hour. When I spend time with you, get my hourly rate. As soon as you pay my retainer, we're good to go. Well, then a couple of weeks later, they invited me to a 2-hour working lunch. I charged them for the lunch. They came back and said that was a getting to know you session. So I just ended it. You know what I mean? It's like if you're going to come after me over 2 hours, does that look good for the future of me?
No, they're going to be a pain in the ass to work with.
Yeah, absolutely. And from then on, it's never going to end well for you. So the question becomes, all right, well, I'm starving to death. Well, you got to do what you got to do. I'm not saying I've never done a workaround because I'd be lying to you. I'm saying I don't play that game anymore. I told them, I said, look, I am not in the failure business. I like money and everything, and I could continue to sit here and pill for you and just create workarounds all day long. But that also reflects back on me. If somebody comes back to the ecosystem and sees that I was the admin that built that piece of junk, what's their thought of me in the future? They can easily go back and see that, by the way. Yes?
Yep.
This is a very small ecosystem. I mean, a lot of people are in it, but word gets around fast about what's what, especially locally. Anybody heard that before? Anybody felt that before? It happens. Somebody gets kind of blacklisted. Somebody doesn't get paid or whatever. So real quick, let's finish up security and then we'll start on some demos. Hopefully, those case studies like that are better than anything I can give you directly and teach. Those are great. So anytime we can do that at the beginning of class and just kind of crush requirements, it's going to help everybody in the long run. So what do we get if we own the record?
Full access.
And what's full access? You get the ability to do what?
Read, write, edit,
Transfer,
transfer.
delete,
What are we viewing? The record. What are we editing? The record. What are we sharing?
ownership,
Access. How are we changing ownership here as far as access? Transferring ownership, which means we're really transferring what?
The account. Oh, full access.
Right?
Sorry. Yeah.
So what do we get if we don't own the record?
We wouldn't get access to it unless the owner gave us permission.
Nope. If you don't own the record, what determines your access?
Your profile.
That's permission. If you don't own the record, what controls your access level?
OWD.
Right? Organization-wide defaults manage object-level access to records that a user does not own. What's it mean if they're set to private for an object? Owner gets
Full access and the others don't get anything.
none. If you don't have any access, what does that mean?
Exist if you look for it.
If you search for it in the global search bar, it does not return a record. It doesn't exist for you. What if it's set to public read only? Owner gets,
Full access.
everybody else gets
Read only.
read only. What if it's public read write?
Owner gets
Owner gets
full.
full access.
Everybody else gets,
Right.
can they share?
No.
Can they transfer?
No.
Can they delete?
No.
Okay, so what do I check next?
Role hierarchy.
What's the role hierarchy do?
Allows
Overrides,
access to
OWDs.
one below or
Using a
above.
system of using a system of
Subordinates.
roles and subordinates. What's the highest level of access I can give?
Full access.
Full access. It's also a
Template.
template that can be assigned to a user or a group of users. What do we check next?
Profiles.
Wow.
Well, that depends, right? If you got no access here and you got no access here, then what do you got to get? So if they don't own the record, OWDs are set to private. They're not a role in the hierarchy. What happens if they search for the record?
Won't show up.
Won't show up. So what are they going to have to do in order to get access if none of this is met? There's only like one other way.
Sharing rules.
You see that? No, that's 5. But if you get to here and you still don't have access, does it matter what your permissions are?
No.
So in that case, like these are all additive. Both sides of the matrix are additive. And you have to realize that if you don't have access, you have to gain it somehow, or it doesn't matter what their permissions are. That's like the whole calculus of this. So if you get to the role hierarchy and they still don't have any access, you may as well hop down and look at sharing and figure out, you know, what level of access they have. What's the highest level of access I can give on the sharing side? Remember?
Read write.
That's correct. Can I share?
No.
Can I transfer?
No.
Can I delete?
No.
So depending on whether or not you have access at this point, you're either going to go over here to the profile. What's the profile do? Or you're going to go over to sharing. So what's the profile do?
Provides access to what users can see and do.
Not
Correct.
access.
Provide. Okay.
It is what users can see and do with records that they have access to.
Right.
But profile is always permission. Yes?
Right.
So if I go to the custom sales profile and I do hit edit, what do you get?
You get the apps, the tabs, the system.
What is an app?
Group of objects and relationships that meet a business requirement.
Group of objects and relationships that meets a business requirement. What's the next grouping of settings I can change if I do hit edit?
Tabs.
What's a tab?
And visual
Allows you
representation of
to
an
keep
object.
the tab.
Visual representation of an object. What if they're set to default on?
Then you're going to see it both in the app launcher and in the row.
What if it's default off?
Then you will not see it in the row, but you will see it in the app launcher.
What about tab hidden?
Completely gone.
User doesn't see it at all, right? What's after our tab settings?
System
System.
permissions.
System permissions, which are general user and administrator permissions. What do those do? Excuse me.
Determines what a user can do.
Usually what a user can do, it could be one or more permissions. That's our general user or administrative permissions. What are our super user permissions?
View all, modify all,
View all, modify all. What does that give us?
access.
Full access to everything. If you do it in the system permissions, it's for everything. What's after system?
Object.
Object permissions. What's an object?
Table.
A table where the columns are
Or fields.
fields and the rows are.
Records.
There's also view all, modify all at the object level, which will give you just full access to that one object. What's after the object permissions?
Session settings.
Desktop integration client, session settings, password policies. What if I do hit edit? What can I change? Or excuse me, if I don't hit edit, what can I change? So you go to the custom sales profile, you do not hit edit. The first thing you can change is we haven't talked about this yet, right? Page layout. We haven't really discussed. This is what we're going into next. Page layout, field level security that I'm going to talk about here in a moment, and then record types that we're going to talk about next. That's my shorthand there for record type. Know what this stuff is. This is very important on the admin side especially. What was number 4?
Sharing rules.
Nope. Permission sets. What's a permission set?
Additional functionality beyond.
I like where you were going.
Yeah.
Additional what?
Functionality.
Additional what?
Permission.
Yeah, additional permissions above and beyond a user's profile. You had it, man.
I know.
You had it. The hardest part of this stuff is being able to verbalize it intelligently.
Right.
Where do permission sets get assigned?
Is it on the profile?
No, what happens if I change the profile?
Changes for everyone of that profile.
It changes for everyone, every person in the group of users over here.
This would be the individual user then.
It gets assigned to the user always, and they're gonna. You think they're gonna try and trick you into that?
Yep.
I mean, that's the pitfall right there. So know that permission sets get assigned to the user. So when we're doing our plunge, how do I give access during the plunge? Well, first of all, what am I going to set my OWDs to here?
To the most restrictive.
Which is?
Private.
Private.
Oh, yeah.
What does it mean if OWDs are private?
The owner can see everything and everybody else cannot see anything.
Owner gets full. Everybody else gets none. Yes? So if they call me up and say, hey, man, I searched for this record. I can't even find it. What are you going to do?
See what their OWD is.
Well, first thing I'm going to do is see if they own it.
Right.
You see how this, it doesn't matter what the situation is. Start here and work your way down. Don't guess. Just use the trouble. It's either this or this, depending on whether you have access here. I mean, it's just fall through it. Let the dominoes fall. Don't try and guess, because you know what happens when you try and guess? What do you always think it is? In this case, is it the profile? Here? If OWDs are private for ops and they don't own the record, what are they missing? If OWDs are set to private for opportunities, what does that mean?
Only the owner of the opportunity is seeing it.
The owner gets full, everybody else gets
Nothing.
nothing, right? So if they go in and they don't own the record, what level of access do they have?
None.
None. So if they have no access and they have all the permissions in the world, what can they actually do?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing. So if they need access, how am I going to give them access through the plunge?
Make it not private.
Well, if I make it not private, what happens?
Oh yeah. You're right. That wouldn't be right.
That means you're giving everybody read write.
Yeah.
So if somebody needs access, what do you need to ask them?
Why?
Why?
Why? You see? So if they want record level access, what's the only way to give record level access in Salesforce? There's two ways.
Manual share.
Where are those found?
I think it's Classic or the app.
On Classic in the form of a button, right? You're sharing what? Access to that one record, right? What was the other way?
Account team.
Is that you're sharing one record with an account team?
You're sharing every record on that account.
You're sharing that record and then also related records depending on how you set those objects up. So the other way was what? If we're sharing one record, there's only one way to do it. Either with a manual share, which is a button, or an op team or a case team. Those are specific records. What was an account team?
Related list.
It's sharing the account using a related list called account team. Is that just for one record?
No.
What are we sharing?
The account and everything that's tied to the account.
No. We're sharing what? We're sharing access. Is anybody totally lost?
Oh yeah.
Who said that?
That was me.
Is that Doug?
No, that's Tori. I felt
Tori,
like I
okay.
had it. I felt like I had it too.
So if you don't mind, I'd like for you to share your screen.
Okay. Let me know when you can see it.
All right, good. So could you please demo OWDs for me?
Sure. Or maybe, I should say. Not sure.
All right, somebody help him. Where do we find OWDs? Click path us.
It's not on the profile.
No, there's only two places to find security. One is going to be under users, which is where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
The other is going to be under security. That's the only two places to find any of the security settings, generally speaking. So go to security and then go to sharing settings. There we go. That's OWDs. What do OWDs do?
They allow only the owner to see that information.
Well, it depends, doesn't it?
Oh yeah.
So my mantra is org-wide defaults manage object level access to records that a user doesn't own. If you memorize the wording, right, if you can say it in a way to where someone else can think you know what you're talking about, even if they don't, it puts you head and shoulders above your peers. Get the wording down, and you don't have to say my words exactly, but hey, if it works, it works. I've just tried to distill it down into the fewest number of words possible. So OWDs manage object level access to records that a user doesn't own. What's it mean if they're set to private?
It means that only the user can see that information.
Which user?
The owner of the record.
The owner of the record, right? So the owner gets
Full access. Full
Everybody
access.
else gets
No access.
none. What does it mean if you have no access?
Can't see anything if you search for it. Doesn't exist.
Yes. If you search for it, you can't find it. It does not exist in your data table. We have isolated that record from you. What's it mean if it's set to public read only?
Everyone can see the record, but they can't do anything with it.
That's the person demoing, right? In these situations.
No, that's me.
Okay,
Sorry.
yeah, I want to hear from the person demoing.
My bad.
Yeah.
Oh, you're
Doug,
good.
Doug was correct though.
What
Public
did he
read
say?
only is they can see it but can't do anything.
What if it's set to public read write?
They can see it and they can edit it.
Okay, so let's get your situation here to where Joe has no access to any records he doesn't own.
Okay, now if we're talking about Joe, I need to go to the user then.
Well, start at the top. Does Joe own any records?
Well, how would I know that?
Well, how
Yeah.
would you find out if Joe owns any records? I would go into the app since you're the admin, right? So
Right.
go into your app. You're the admin. And choose your application. I think it's sales, right?
Yeah.
So then which records would be most important in a search like this? Hey, you know what? I'd probably look at the account records.
Mm-hmm.
Go to all accounts and see, since you have what?
I have them all
Why?
because I'm the admin and I have full access.
And you have also all of the permissions.
Correct.
So does he own any account records?
No.
Okay. So does he have any access according to OWDs?
No.
Okay, what's the next thing you check to ensure that he doesn't have any access to records? Step 2.
So we checked OWDs. Now we need to check the role hierarchy.
Very good. Let's look at the role hierarchy and see if Joe is assigned any roles. However, I wouldn't go right to the role hierarchy in this case. I'd probably go to his user detail record
Oh, okay.
because I can see his role on there, right?
Yeah.
What's the role hierarchy do?
It just shows the path of how the records are being released or shown, given full access.
Okay, so currently, if you click on Bruce Wayne as Joe for you, so click on Bruce Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
Has Joe been assigned a role?
No.
No. Okay, so if he hasn't been assigned a role, does he have any access?
No.
So if you log in as Joe at this point, so go to Joe's user detail record, log in as Joe, and see if you have any access to any records at all.
Oh,
You put them all what? Wait a minute, everybody. Here's a really good case study.
yeah, I hit all the tabs.
He put them on what though?
Tab off.
Default off. Do you see that?
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
were in the app launcher, but not on the bar.
Oh yeah, default off, right? So no accounts.
So then maybe try opportunities. Do you have any opportunities?
Ryan, if the
You would already know the answer to that question because in order to see the op, you would need the account record. Go ahead. Whoever was going to.
yeah, Ryan, this is Chris. So if we had OWD set to public read write, but no role assigned to Joe, he's still going to see that, correct?
Okay, so set OWDs to read write.
Okay.
Which objects, Chris, for the account? That's probably
Sure.
the easiest.
Yeah.
What was it called again? Security.
Somebody help him. Nobody?
I know it's right here, but
OWDs.
Is it security setting?
It's
That's what
it's sharing settings.
Oh,
Section
sharing settings. Okay.
sharing. Okay, sharing setting.
All right. So what are we doing again? OWDs to private.
Put them on
Read.
public read write for accounts.
Oh, for accounts. Okay.
What's it mean if OWDs are set to public read write?
Owner has full access, everyone can only see them.
So why can't I see his? Shouldn't it be custom sales profile in here?
What do OWDs do?
They allow full access.
No. Can I get full access to OWDs?
I get full access to OWDs.
No.
Not through OWDs. What are the ways to get full access?
Transfer ownership.
Ownership?
Yeah, but you can transfer through OWDs, right?
No. Only if they're set to public read write transfer. What are they set to now?
Private.
Okay, so go up and edit.
I don't know why I can't edit.
Are you logged in as Joe?
Oh, probably.
See how it's like, hey, I can't do what I thought I should be able to do. The answer is usually I logged in as Joe. But yeah, if you're logged in as Joe. So go to your OWDs. For accounts, set it to public read write. What does it mean if we set OWDs for the account object to public read write?
Well, anyone will be able to read it and edit it.
Owner gets,
Full access.
everybody else gets
Read write.
read write. Can they share?
No.
No.
Can they transfer?
No.
Can they delete?
No.
Okay, so go ahead and save. So for a moment, you're going to have this ribbon across the top of the screen. Do you see it?
Yep.
That means that notice, oh, it already changed. So, well, if you try, I guess if you try to restrict it, it takes longer. Go ahead, when you see that ribbon, refresh your browser.
Okay.
And you'll see the change eventually. You just kind of keep refreshing and looking. Okay, so you're set to read write. The ribbon's gone. You're good. So now log in as your user. What should he be able to do here? So log in as Bruce Wayne. What access should he have here?
Read write.
Can he share?
No.
Can he transfer?
No.
Can he delete?
Nope.
You see how he has them all now?
Yep. That makes sense.
Right, so then the role is irrelevant in this case.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's not totally irrelevant because roles in the hierarchy allow you to group users, and you can share things other than just access with it. Does that make sense? Like you might send email alerts to a certain role or something when we get to workflow, etc. But generally speaking, that's correct. The role hierarchy is pretty much obsolete from a giving access standpoint. However, you can give up to and including full access. What's the highest level of access we gave here?
Just read write.
So he should be able to edit the record. Go to the action in the top right-hand corner where it says new note. There should be a drop down there. Select edit. So he should be able to change the record, which he can.
Mm-hmm.
So he can view it. He can edit. Can he share it?
No.
What are we sharing?
Would be sharing
Access.
access.
Very
Yeah.
good. there
Thanks,
it was.
Tom.
That was very good. What are we sharing?
Access.
Access, right? What's the highest level of access we can give with a sharing rule?
Full access.
No.
Read and write.
Read and write.
Hmm.
So Ryan, let's talk about that for a second. So sharing and transferring mean the same?
No.
Okay.
So close that up and check this out.
Okay.
All right, go to see the owner field there?
Yep.
Transfer ownership for me.
Who am I transferring it to, though?
Yourself.
Like me or Bruce?
Who owns it now?
Oh, I do.
Then transfer it to your login as Bruce, right? Change it to
Yeah.
yourself.
Change to myself. Okay.
Just good. Oh, no, I mean.
Oh, you mean go to my log out and
No,
then go in?
here. Okay, let's start over. Hit X. Change ownership from Tori to Bruce as Bruce, right? So
Got it. Got it. Yep.
Tori to Joe. Just leave all those blank and hit change owner because it's not going to work.
Yeah. Don't have permission.
Is that really the case?
Well,
What doesn't he have?
I don't have sharing.
You don't have what?
No transferring.
You don't have access.
Hmm.
In order to transfer a record, what do you have to have?
Access.
You have to have access. Does that say permission?
Yeah.
But the problem here isn't that you don't have permission to transfer a record. The problem is you don't have what?
Access.
You don't have full access to do it. Do you see that? Go ahead and close this. Can you delete?
Nope.
Why not?
Because I don't have access.
You don't have access that you do not have full access to delete the record. What does it say the problem is?
Well, it says I don't have permission.
Yeah, but is that the case?
No.
If you went to log out as Bruce and change the owner of that record to Bruce.
Change the owner of that record.
Yeah, go to log out as Joe.
Yep, I did.
Go into the application. So go to the sales app in the app launcher.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, and just switch it over.
And change ownership to Joe. What's Joe get at that point, or Bruce in your case?
He's going to get full access once I
He's going
give
to
it
get
to
full
him.
access. Do you think he's going to be able to change ownership?
Yes,
Probably. Why?
because he's got full access.
And
He can
permission.
permission.
You got to have both, right? I'll show you that in a moment as well. So if you want to change ownership here, so
Now you
now
want me
that
to
account
log back
record is
in.
owned by who?
Bruce.
What level
Or
of access
Joe.
does Bruce have, or Joe?
Full.
Full. So he's got view, edit, share, transfer, and delete, right? So should he be able to transfer ownership?
Yes.
So let's log in as your user and go look.
I'm logging in as Joe or Tori.
Log in as Joe.
Oh, okay.
Joe or Bruce is always your user.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
That's what Joe is. He's my user goggles. I'm looking at it from their perspective to make sure that what I did worked.
So Ryan, to say full access to me is a misnomer if you don't have the permissions set up as well.
That's it. Ding, ding, ding. You now understand the difference between access and permission. That's it.
Wait, could you say that one more time? I was too busy clicking. Sorry. Say that again.
So what we've been saying is full access, right? When a user has full access, meaning the view, edit, share, transfer, delete.
Yeah.
Right? Those things only apply if they have the associated permissions
That's it.
as well.
You got to have both sides of the matrix. It starts on the access side and it says, what level of access do you have? You just add up the left side of the matrix, right? Then you find out what level of access you have. If you've got full, then it goes over and looks at the permission side of the matrix and says, all right, what can you do with it if you have access to it? That's it. You just, landed on Omaha Beach, my friend. Welcome.
Well, the reason why this made sense finally at this point is because Bruce Wayne owning the record couldn't transfer it didn't make sense to me when he had full access or the OWD was set up to public read write when he's the owner. Okay, so that means that he's ownership. I would think that he could be able to do whatever the heck he wants, but then realizing that if he doesn't have the permission, regardless of the access side, it's irrelevant.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I thought it was the opposite. So I'm a little lost still.
That's okay.
So I thought if you know, you can have all the permissions in the world, but if you don't have access, you can't do anything.
Now look, what level of access does Bruce have right now?
Full access.
Why?
Because he's the owner.
Okay, so have Bruce transfer ownership back to Tori.
This is Doug, by the way.
Well, no, I'm just letting whoever's driving drive here.
How do I do that if I thought my username, oh, maybe it's just,
Just hit the magnifying glass. Does that work?
yeah, no, I thought it would pop down, but it ain't for
If
some
you
reason.
type in Tori, or you're logged in as Bruce, type in Tori.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, we just found another visibility issue, didn't we?
Yeah.
Welcome to Salesforce, everybody. This is exactly what it feels like to develop from scratch, okay? So is the problem access related?
No, it's visibility.
How do we know that?
He's got
Because-
full access.
Yeah, he has full access.
You already closed out the left side. So where do we go after we close out the left side?
To the right side.
And what's the first thing we check?
Profile.
So let's go to Bruce's profile, which is what?
Which is custom sales.
Custom sales profile located under users, or you could go to users and his profile will be the far right column there. There we go, custom sales profile. If I do hit edit, what can I change first? You've got the enhanced. He's got the enhanced. Do we like this generally?
I guess I was just used to it.
Oh, you just like it? All right, well then knock yourself out. So
No, but you're right. It makes it harder to find stuff if you
it
don't know
makes
what
it
they're
harder to
in.
find stuff, but that's fine. It's
Yeah.
he has the enhanced profile view that he's probably been using in his org forever. And that's
Yeah.
fine. It's just the permission set side. It's exactly like permission sets. So either way, it's not apps, is it, that we're worried about?
No.
Is it tabs?
No.
But you do have a tab issue, don't you?
Yes.
So let's fix that now. Go into the object settings. What do you have them all set to for the objects of interest? See, I'm going to say you'd be much better off switching.
Oh, getting out of, you mean the enhanced
Yeah,
version?
the non-enhanced is going to take you longer. It's going to be way more confusing.
Ryan, which one is that under? I can't remember because I can't just type in enhanced. I don't think, right?
Oh man, I know it's
I used to know.
always forget this thing because it doesn't come up as often
I know.
as everything else. Hang on one second. It's
It's just a simple click. I know that.
well, it used to be user management settings.
Oh yeah, yeah,
that
you're
it?
right.
Is that
You're
it?
right.
I think
Yeah, that's it. There it is.
Yeah,
All right.
turn-
I took it off. Do you want me to? This is
Yeah,
fine,
I
right?
leave all that alone. Who cares?
Yeah,
Okay, enhanced profile. That's the one you want to uncheck. The enhanced profile user interface.
Oh, this one.
Yeah, the enhanced profile list views leave turned on. There you go. That's the thing that will. I don't know. I'm not a.
No idea what this is.
Well, there's two ways to look at a profile as a user. So if you're at setup, users and profiles, he had a setting set up to where it looks like the permission set side. So what we did is we turned that off. Now when he looks at the custom sales profile, he'll see what we're more used to. Here we go. So if you do hit edit on the custom sales profile,
Mhm.
is this an app issue?
Is this an app issue? No. What?
No.
No.
Go to the
No.
next one. Right? Well, actually, go up a little bit. I think your problem right now is that you don't have the Lightning Sales application. So hit visible and default under Sales, Lightning Sales. Keep going down, down, down.
Yeah, I got you.
There you go. That's what you want.
Okay.
And then I think you should be good at that point.
Now for the tabs you want me to fix, or no, you good? I thought I had
Well,
those.
how would you fix them?
Well, I would turn them default on.
They're on. You were, I think you were in the wrong application.
Oh, okay. Okay, so just save then.
Yeah, because you're in Lightning there, but you only had the sales app from Classic available. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
All right, so hit edit again. So we did our app settings, which was part of the problem. Then we do our tab settings, which was part of the problem. Then administrative and system permissions. So this particular permission will drive you nuts unless you know where it is.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know what it's called.
So what you
Some
want
search
is
thing.
view all users, Control F. That's the problem. The
Got
user, it was set to private and they didn't have permission to see it.
Got it.
So now you'll have permission. So if you save this,
View all users is a default setting.
no. Well, it's just a profile permission. It's just a system permission that we didn't have checked in this case. You see that? Something that you can do that we were more restrictive and we took away. So if you run into that problem where they can't find other users, you may as well let them see all users, right? Unless there's like 2 million users or something crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So now you should be able to log in as Joe. Do you see how this works no matter what? Just roll through the troubleshoot. Start with ownership. Does he own the record? Yes. What's that mean he has?
Full access.
Full access. If he has full access, what does that mean? He has the access level to
Read, write,
There it is.
Transfer.
transfer,
view,
delete.
edit, share, transfer, and delete. So now we're transferring ownership to Tori, right?
Mm-hmm.
Change ownership. What level of access does Bruce now have?
He has just read and edit.
He does? Who owns it?
I do, but I thought we set that early on to read and edit. No,
Oh, so wait, who owns it?
I own it.
Okay, so then what's the next thing we check? He doesn't own the record, right?
Right. We need to check OWDs, right?
OWDs were set to what?
Read and write.
So
Read and
that
edit.
we've got read and write. So let's set OWDs back to private for his profile. Or I'm sorry, for
Yeah, I know what you mean.
all right, who owns the record?
I do, Tori.
What are OWDs going to be set to?
Well, we're about to set them to private.
And what does that mean if OWDs are set to private?
It means only Tori can see it.
It means only, well,
Only Tori can view, edit, write.
the owner gets,
Full access.
everybody else gets.
Nothing. No access.
So if you save this, wait until the ribbon goes away, and log in as Joe, what will Joe have access to?
He should have no access.
Records that he owns.
Nice work, Tori.
Thanks.
Do you see how it's a tough thing to like rationalize?
Why did that change?
But once you get it, see the ribbon up there?
Yeah.
Keep refreshing your browser, it'll switch.
Oh, it's just trying to catch up.
Yeah,
Okay. Oh, yeah, there it goes.
The first
There it goes.
thing you always do no matter what is refresh the browser. If there's a problem, refresh the browser.
All right, so now
That's
log back.
always the low-hanging fruit.
Log back into Joe. And if we did it right,
Oh, look, hey, do you see his tabs?
yeah, they're right there.
You can close that other accounts tab, right? That was
Oh,
open
yeah.
before?
Yeah. Yep.
That's one you pulled from the app launcher. But
Yeah.
So now if you're logged in as Joe, what's he see?
No access.
Why?
Because Tori owns full access.
He doesn't
Because we
own the
transfer
records.
because we transferred transferred the access.
So yeah, he doesn't own any records, and
Right.
OWDs are set to
Right.
what?
Private.
And is he a role in the role hierarchy?
He is not.
So currently he has no access, correct?
That is correct.
So does it make sense to go right to profile right now if you were troubleshooting?
No.
Where would you have to go next?
Next, we would go to sharing rules.
Yeah, some sort of sharing, right? He's got to get access somehow.
Mm-hmm.
You see the choice there? So let's give Bruce one record. Let's give him one opportunity record.
Okay.
If you want to give him access to a record, what's the best way?
Well, what kind of access?
Well, if you want to give somebody access, what is the best and easiest way to do that?
Transfer it?
The one record? Yeah, just transfer ownership.
Wait.
You're right.
No.
You're correct.
Yeah,
That's
for one record, right.
For one
Yeah,
record,
okay.
transfer ownership. But does it make sense to transfer ownership just to give access? Who usually owns opportunity rep?
No. The salespeople.
The
Or
sales rep, right? So if
Yeah.
you want to give access to one record, where are you going to do it? Show me.
couldn't I just do it on the account and share the
Yeah, manual
record?
sharing.
Let's
Yeah.
see. Show me. Share one
Okay.
record.
Where am I at?
Let me do you a solid here. Go down to view all.
And then you're gonna have me move it.
Yeah, move that sales app to the top. It's driving me nuts.
Yeah, me too.
Now we're good.
All
In
right.
actuality, what would you do? I wouldn't do that.
Sorry, what'd you say? I got too
I
clicky.
mean, in actuality, I wouldn't do that either. I would go into the admin profile and I would remove all the apps that I'm not dealing with today.
Oh, I see. Yeah. You're right. We want to condense all this. Yeah, so we would take away all this and just put sales.
I would get,
yeah.
because I'm not doing any of that today, right?
Yeah.
But
then
anyway.
Okay.
So share one record as far as access.
I thought that there'd be a sharing one right there. but-
Oh, what's the rule as far as manual share?
Got to go to Classic.
It's only available in Classic out of the box.
Nice, Doug.
Oh, how about that? There's one.
So if you switch to Classic, go to your record of interest. What's your problem right now? Anybody know?
Don't even have my sales.
Well, you're in the wrong app.
So it doesn't stay within the app when you.
What app are you in?
Looks like chatter, but
No, you're in content. See top right-hand corner?
Huh.
That's what they call the force.com app menu. That's no. See that says content, blue oval, top right-hand corner.
oh, I gotcha. Yeah.
That's where your apps used to be back in the olden days.
Jesus.
I don't even know how I
Yeah.
got there, to be quite honest.
Do you see what I mean, though? You can't do a manual share in Lightning unless you pull down the action from the app exchange. See, right? You're in chatter right now.
Oh,
Scroll down a little bit.
Huh?
There you go. See the
Yeah.
sharing button in the
Mhm.
center of the screen?
Yep.
You can share one record like that.
Hmm.
boy, that was a
Manual
lot of
share.
steps. There's got to be something easier.
Well, what's
No.
the other way to share one record?
Couldn't I just do it on the No, not the profile. You wouldn't
Mhm.
want to do it there.
What are we sharing?
Sharing access.
Access. What are the ways we share access? What are OWD set to?
Oh, read and edit.
They're
Yeah.
part of it. Is he a role in a role hierarchy?
No.
No.
There are two ways to manually share one record. One is going to be a manual share with a button in Classic. The other is and you can only do it on ops and cases. It's Teams with the related list.
That makes sense.
Does it?
Yeah.
Well, if so, good. That means you know more than like 95% of the people using this.
Well, I guess one of the things I guess I'm curious on this maybe this would be more for a side table discussion, but is it going to get into Lightning to be able to click share? I mean, it seems like it would be a
You can do
simple
it.
drop down.
There's an action you can pull down from the App Exchange that will give you an action. But it's important to understand the difference between a button and an action, and we haven't got there yet.
Got it.
So then if you get access, what level? So go ahead and transfer owner. So go back to Lightning.
Do you want me to add this first or no? Are we good?
No, I just want you to go back to Lightning.
Okay. Okay.
All right. So transfer ownership of the Burlington account and then all related records to Joe.
In all related records.
Or Bruce in this case. So we're transferring the account. Look at all those check boxes. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see how if you transfer the account, it's asking you if you want to transfer ownership of all of the records? You see that?
Yes.
So just check them all, except for send notification email, unless you just really want an email right now.
No, I'm good. Click it.
All right. Click it. So now who owns the account?
Bruce.
What level of access does he have?
Full.
Does that mean he can delete?
Yes.
Does anybody disagree?
No.
I disagree.
Why do you disagree?
Well, doesn't it depend on his permissions?
Ah, what do you have if you own the record?
Full
Full what?
access.
So does that mean you can do anything?
Nope.
What do you got to have to do it?
Permissions.
Permission to go ahead and try and delete that record.
Kidding.
That looks like fun, huh?
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
I got news for you. You're still not going to be able to delete the record if you fix all that. Because, why?
Permissions.
Okay, so go to Joe's profile or Bruce's profile here and look at his permissions. Now, if he has delete, do we like delete on a user's
No.
profile?
No.
Why not?
Screw up the record, screw up Salesforce. And you won't be
What
able
is
to-
the desired outcome? Not to delete, but to
Close.
close one way or the other, right? So if you go to his profile, custom sales, and you do hit edit, where are you going to find whether or not they can create, read, edit, or delete records?
Right here.
So would he have been able to delete here?
On the account?
Yeah.
Yes.
Do we like that for users?
No.
And remove all those deletes. Also remove anything we're not using here.
So when
Unclick read under assets.
oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Get rid of all.
Yeah.
We're starting as restrictive as we possibly can. Contacts we need, but we don't like delete.
I guess, Ryan, if that error wasn't thrown and he had delete permission,
He would have had access and permission.
then he would have been able to delete it without a problem.
Right. But the problem is that there were related records owned by other people that it wasn't going to let you delete because he didn't own those records. You see?
That's what those hieroglyphics were in that message.
So
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Whoever had a question.
I just, I thought I understood this whole thing, but just a quick question. So Bruce is the owner. He gets view, edit, share, transfer, delete, right?
As far as access, yes.
As far as access goes. But can he still, you asked, can he still delete it? If the permission, so he has to go to the permission side to see if he can delete it or not?
That's correct. And if you scroll down for us and look, can he delete records currently?
Oh, sorry. I got to go to edit.
Very good. Very good. Ooh, I'm starting to see
So
the light at the end of the tunnel, ladies and gentlemen. All right, good. So can he delete now as far as accounts?
no, he can't delete now because, okay, so then can he, does he have, can he edit this stuff, or is
Okay,
this
so
something
that's a
that,
good question. Go up and save the profile, please. Log in as Joe and try it. Anybody having fun yet?
sure,
I love this stuff. This is great. This is reality, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can edit.
Why can you edit? What level of access do you have?
you
Full
edit,
access.
transfer,
You got full. Why do you have
share,
full?
transfer.
Owns it.
Because you own it. What level of permission do you have?
Read, write, and edit.
Read and edit. Can you
So-
delete?
No,
Why not?
because I don't have permission.
That's it. Go ahead and try and delete this record for me, please.
So that permission could be given to him, right? Though, like when the admin transfer this record to Bruce,
Mm-hmm.
if he put under the permission, if he put, okay, Bruce can do the deletion as well. It's okay for Bruce to delete.
Well, if you wanted to give just Bruce delete, how would you do that?
Manual go to
Mm-mm.
no.
Permission set, right?
Because Bruce has access. How do we know that?
Oh yes, permission, because that's by individual user when you do
Bruce owns
permission
it. He's
sets.
got full. Yes.
Right.
So if I want to give just Bruce permission to delete account records, how would I do that?
Go to permission sets.
There you go.
So I think, Ryan, and maybe I'm alone on this, maybe I'm not, but I think where I've been struggling the most is that we started this entire lesson, a couple weeks ago by saying full access, means transfer, delete, view, edit, and view.
You edit, share, transfer, delete as far as access.
As far as access. However, just because you have that does not necessarily mean you can do those actions.
That is correct.
So ultimately, it's the permissions that is the gateway to all of this. Is that
Well, you got to have both.
got it? Oh, right. Yeah, yes. Okay, let me ask you this then, Ryan. If I would have given, if I changed this to, I'm gonna confuse myself. Never mind. I was gonna say if I change the OWDs to private,
Which they are.
right, which they are, then I would not be able to delete, but that wouldn't make sense.
Wait, you own? Okay, so who are you talking about? You or Bruce? You
I know.
have
I'm
full
getting
access
confused
'cause
on
you got
who.
view all, modify all.
He
Yeah.
should have
You've got
stick to
full
the
access.
name
Why?
Joe. He should have stick to the name Joe.
Yeah.
So the way that I look at it is, regardless of what's on the left-hand side, if you don't have anything on the right-hand side, it's irrelevant.
That's how I'm trying to wrap my head around
Right.
it.
So
Right,
do this.
exactly.
So do this. Log out as Joe or Bruce.
hmm
Go to the profile and remove everything for the account object on the profile side. So go to the custom sales profile and then remove all permissions for accounts on the profile side. Not system, but object. Yeah, just take away read.
Okay.
All right, save. Okay, so if he owns the account, what level of access does he have?
What's the account? Full access.
So log in as Joe for me.
Can I just find the user? That should be. I don't even have it. Accounts anymore.
So do you have access to the record?
No.
Sure you do. You own it, don't you?
So you're telling me I could search it then?
No, I'm saying that you have access but no permission.
But if I guess that's I'm struggling with so bad. If I have access, I would think access means allowed, or you know.
They are completely separate.
Access means you should be able to see it, right?
If
Without
you
access,
search-
you can't.
So here's the
see it.
deal. It says if you search for the record and you have permission, you can do what your permissions say. In this case, do we have access to the record?
Yes, but not to view it.
Yeah, because we own it. So if we own the record, what level of access do we have?
What level of access?
If we own the
Full
record, what do we
access.
get? Full.
Full access,
It means
yeah.
we have access to view, edit, share, transfer, and delete that record.
So how would we do that right now then?
So you can't because you don't have permission. Your profile does not allow you to even read records in that object.
Right,
So
okay.
at this point, you have access with no permission. Do you see that it doesn't matter either way? You have to have both sides of the matrix. What you've got going on right now, I'm going to go ahead and steal this back.
Okay.
I mean, it's almost like access just means container.
What you've got is on the access side, if you own it, what do you get?
Full access.
Full, and that closes this whole site out, right? I don't have to look at anything else. But if I have no permissions, what can you do?
Nothing.
Or conversely, if I say I've got read only over here and I got create, read, edit, and delete over here, what am I going to be able to do?
Read only.
Read.
Read only.
You have to have both. Do you see?
So I'm with Tori though, but because when I thought under access where it was, you know, you said you can, you know, if you have full access, you can view, whatever, view.
No, that doesn't mean you can do it.
That's where I got lost too. I
It
thought if
means
you
that
had
you have
full-
like the access to do it.
that means you can see everything. Is that what access is meaning? That
No, it's just saying that if this is the global search bar and you type in BURL asterisk.
Yeah.
And if you don't have any access at all, if you don't own the record and you don't get access any other way, when you search for that record, it will not return any result.
But Ryan, I just tried searching it, and what you're saying is that I am the account owner, so I should have full access. So in essence, if I search for Burlington, you're saying it should come up then.
No, I'm saying that if you have full access and no permissions, it won't show up either.
Oh,
If you put that view permission set,
right,
then you would.
then it would
see
show up.
Mhm.
It's saying, all right, you own the record, so you have the ability to view, edit, share, transfer, and delete if and only if your permissions on your profile allow you to do that.
wow.
That's crazy.
The word access, I guess, is kind of a.
Yeah, that's what's confusing. I
Bad,
think the
right.
word is the confusing part.
If
I
you
almost wish they used a
remember,
different word.
At the very first day of the workshop, I said, hey, the hardest thing to get is that we're speaking English, but it's not necessarily your definition.
So basically, the access is potential. What potentially can you do? If
Yeah, potentially.
given
can you
what
do it?
permission, based off of the permissions.
I really like it. What potentially could you do?
Yeah.
And then what can you actually do?
Yeah, potential
like-
access versus
If
permission.
you've seen the Marvel movie where Iron Man puts training wheels on Spider-Man's suit,
Mm-hmm.
like the suit is capable of all kinds of stuff on the left side, but Tony Stark was worried about Spider-Man being a kid and probably needed some training, so he reduced a lot of the functionality that was available, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah. He had the suit, but he couldn't access the suit.
Right.
He didn't have permissions to
He
use
didn't
the
have permission-
functionality of the
access to
suit.
the suit, but he didn't have permission for the functionality.
Yeah. Okay.
It wasn't like it was lost in his closet. That's okay. This is new for me. I thought that access was going to allow you to at least be able to see things.
Well, this is why.
Allow you to do something with what you can see, but that's not accurate.
Yeah. Do you see how people don't understand security?
Oh yeah, I'm one of them.
Yeah, but do you see how people that think they understand security don't understand security?
100%. I feel like I'm stealing something hearing this stuff from you. I don't think I'd figured this out from Trailhead.
Well, you wouldn't. And you're going to figure it out by people asking you questions and finding the only reason I'm able to do this is because I've been asked all the questions and had to find out the answers. I'm not a genius. I fail all the time, right? But I've just taught enough, which really what I think you are when you're an admin and even a developer is you're a teacher. Because what's the main thing we want to achieve?
Understanding.
Well, user adoption.
Right.
I want users to use it. Well, they're not using it. Well, why not? And it's not somebody else's job to tell me that as an admin. I need to get down on the ground with my users that are fighting the enemy in the trenches, hand to hand. You know, stop listening to the people making the uniforms in this fight. Listen to the people that are fighting and solve their problems. How do you eliminate problems? Well, you make it very simple to begin with. Set them up for success. Make it very simple to understand that initial process. And then layer other processes on. Eventually, it'll just be like breathing for everybody. It really will. Your users don't need to know all this, but admins and developers do. Does anybody think you could be a good admin or developer and not understand this?
No, that'd be stressful.
Do you know how many admins and developers out there don't understand this?
Apparently a great many.
The absolute majority.
That's incredible.
Well, it is. Because the back end people might be very good at the coding side, but they don't understand the front. And the front end people are terrible at the back end side, but they've probably been in sales or marketing or operations or service. So you got to find your niche here. I feel like I should demo field level security.
Yes.
I feel like we've kind of crossed do people feel okay right now?
Oh yeah.
Ryan, the one question that comes to mind again is the difference between transferring and sharing.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing.
Okay. So if we're sharing, what are we sharing?
Access.
What's the highest level of access I can get?
Oh,
No.
Read write.
Read write only. If I'm sharing,
Right.
if I transfer ownership, what am I sharing?
Full
Everything.
access.
oh, okay.
That's the difference.
Where again is sharing? Ryan, maybe that's where I'm getting confused. Where would that be
Okay.
held in?
Let's cover sharing. So if we kind of today already talked about record level sharing, didn't we?
Right, through classic, the manual way.
We did a manual share, and then there's also, can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
There's also, come on, fellas, leave me alone. So if I want to share one record, one way we discussed was manual sharing. The other way was account teams, but I can't, or not, I'm sorry. The other way was with teams. In this case, if I'm talking about teams and an account team, I'm sharing multiple records, aren't I? Because I'm saying, I mean, who really cares if you can see the account? What's an account?
Someone you want to do business with?
It's a file, isn't it? For the org? For the business that we want to track? So in the team role was what? There's just a label. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have any other functionality. But for the account, I might give read only. What happens if I give read only to contacts related to that account?
Are you asking what they can do with that?
Well, I'm saying, what are we sharing here with teams?
The account.
What are we sharing?
Oh, read white. Or read
Access.
only.
Read only down
read
here,
only.
right?
Yeah.
Because OWDs are what?
Read and write.
Private.
Oh, you're saying what they are currently.
And in your situation, did Bruce or Joe have a role in the hierarchy?
No.
And if you don't own the record, what's that user going to get at this point right here?
Nada.
Nada. So then what's he got as far as access on contacts?
Share or read only.
It's all additive, right? So read only. So if he's got read only over here and create, read, edit, and delete as far as permissions, what's he going to be able to do that contact?
Only.
Read only. See? If I set cases to private, what does that mean?
It means only the owner can see it,
Oh.
right?
Yep. So even though I'm on the account team, what level of access am I going to have to cases I don't own?
Nothing.
None.
None. Opportunities, if I set it to read write, what's the highest level of access I can give with a sharing rule?
Right.
What does that mean if I give them at the account level or at the opportunity level read write? What will they be able to do?
Edit the opportunity.
If they have what?
They have permission.
If they have, that's it.
If they have the permission. Okay.
That's it. I feel like we're ready for field level security.
So okay, I got
Go
it.
ahead. If you have questions, go ahead.
Well, I was just trying to visually see that. I was wondering if maybe you could do that in your org. So if you put the OWDs to private, the sharing to read.
No, wait a minute. Who owns the record is the first question.
Right. Who owns the record? So let's just say Joe owns the record.
So what's that mean?
If he owns the record, he's got full access.
So then we've eliminated that whole side. So let me transfer this back to myself. What am I transferring?
Access.
Full access, right? Ownership, but full access. Now who owns the record?
Yeah, now you do.
Now I own the record. So then if I come down here and I come to the account team and I look, I forget. Let's try that. So what's he get for accounts?
Read only.
Only
What's that mean?
means he can only view it.
Well, does that mean he can view it?
Oh, well, no, it doesn't mean anything, right? Depends on
It
his
means that
permissions.
it's read only what?
Access.
Access.
So what's going to ensure that he's able to read?
Permission.
Which permission?
Profile.
On the profile or
Permission set.
permission set, and if it's got read only, then he would read. What if they've got, so we got read only over here.
So this little table here, then, Ryan, behaves the same way as the OWD does, meaning that
Well, that's what OWDs do, is they give access or restrict.
Right.
There's only
Right.
one way to restrict access. What is it?
Make private OWDs.
OWDs private, the only way to restrict access. How do we give access?
Bring it back up with roles and sharing rules.
The role hierarchy, ownership, sharing, and or remember those?
view access.
View all, modify all, give us what?
Full.
That's the only way to get access on the permission side is view all, modify all, either on the system permissions for everything or on the object of interest in the object settings.
So Ryan, on this particular situation in this box, if Joe employee has permissions set up correctly, he should then be able to access, if you were to log in with Joe, he should be able to read the account only, he should be able to read only the contact, and he should be able to edit the opportunity.
That's correct.
Okay.
If
Okay.
they have
If he has the permissions.
Permissions. That's it.
Yes. Yeah, I got it now. Okay.
That's it. Woo!
Yeah.
How's
Field
everybody-
level security.
What's that?
Field level, right? Isn't that where we're
Field
going?
level security, right? Okay.
Yeah,
What do I get if I own it?
Full
full
access.
access.
What's that mean? Means I have access to view, edit, share, transfer, and delete that record. Does that mean I can do it?
No.
If I own the record, I get full. What if I don't own the record?
You don't own the record, you could get OWDs.
OWDs decide, right? How else can I give access?
Sharing.
Roles, hierarchy,
How
Oh,
else
yeah.
can I give access?
sharing.
Sharing
Roles?
roles.
How do I control permissions?
Profiles.
What's profile do?
Determines which the user that has access can see and do.
If you have access to a record, what can you see and do with it? I'm going to skip all this because I figure I've covered it enough. What's number 4?
Permission sets.
Permission sets. What's permission set do?
Allows additional.
Allows a group of users, right? To
I skipped some stuff here, but hey, you guys knew what I was doing.
yeah.
Okay. So what's permission set do?
Grants a group of users additional functionality.
Additional permissions. Where do they get assigned?
User.
On the user, not the profile. What's the highest level of access I can give?
Right.
Read right down here on the sharing side. So then all of that being said, manual, share, account teams, all that stuff. What you got to do when you get down here to permission sets on the permission side is you got to make a dotted line and you got to look at field level security. It's always on the profile of interest. It's still a permission. It's on the profile of interest. So if I've got full access over here, and let's say I've got create, read, edit, and delete on the profile, and there's no permission set available, what's the user going to be able to do?
Create, read, edit, and delete.
View, edit, share, transfer, and delete. See that?
Yep.
No, you lost me.
What can I do on the access side? What's it give me powers to do?
If you're the owner.
If you're the owner, or if you have full access in any of the other ways.
Right. All 5 of those.
You can view, edit, share,
Transfer.
access, transfer, ownership, and delete.
Right.
So if you have full access in CRED, what can you actually do? View, edit, share, transfer, and delete. You can also create, but if you create a record, what do you automatically get?
Ownership.
Full access.
Oh.
So create's kind of its own deal. Field level security says, all right, well, I've got full access in CRED, so you got keys to the castle. Well, let's say there's a field called rating on the account object, for instance. And for that one, let's say I want it to be read-only on the account object. So then what would you get here for that field?
Read only.
Read only. This is what we call a most restrictive relationship here. The most restrictive win. So if I come back here and I say, I got read only over here with full access, what do I get up here before we go below the line?
Read only.
Read only, but then the rating field has read and edit. What do you get for the rating field?
Read only.
Read only. You see? This line is a most restrictive line. So quickly, before we leave here, I'll demo this for you. It's always a profile setting. So if I go to setup, and I will go to the custom sales profile. Sometime today. So we're going to set up users and profiles. And then on my profile of interest here is the custom sales. I feel like I hit the wrong button there. Oh, I hit it. So then I'm going to hit the edit button. Is this an app issue?
No.
No.
Is it a tab issue?
Mm-mm.
What's the issue?
Object?
Hmm?
Is it an object? It's a field on the, I don't remember.
What's the problem?
You're
What's
trying to
What's
wrong?
restrict.
Does anybody know? Is field level security available if I do hit edit?
No,
You see how it isn't?
no, it's
It's if you don't hit edit.
right.
You're going to do, that's where people fall into the pit of despair here. They hit edit. It's not edit. You're going to come down to field level security. We're going to
Right.
find our object of interest without hitting edit.
Right.
And then I'm going to find, look, I've got read and edit here. You see? So if I come down to rating, which is a field on the account object, and I select edit here, and I come down to rating, we say we've got read and edit. So if I remove both of these, what's the user assigned that profile going to see as far as that field?
Can you answer that again?
What is the user assigned that profile going to see if I check neither read or edit?
Nothing.
Nothing. The field will not exist for them. In our case, we said read only. So I'll select read only here. So they'll see it, but they can't change it for that profile.
Yeah, but wouldn't it matter what they have on the permissions profile?
I just changed it.
On what? The field level security or?
Yeah, on their profile. Do not hit edit. Scroll down to the object of interest under field level security right here. Select your object of interest, which was account. Edit, and then find that rating field and make it read only. See?
But now you're saying that rating won't be on the object under permissions.
So watch. This was for Joe's profile, correct?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So if I log in as Joe, I have set that field for Joe on account records that he has access to, which I don't know if he has any right now. Let's see. I just logged in as Joe. I think I put him on account teams or something, so I should have something. Let's see. Yeah. So if I look at his account record as Joe, and I look at that rating field, you see how I can't change it? There's no pencil?
Yep.
That's read only in field level security. So I can log out as Joe. Let's say I want to make it invisible for Joe. Field level security is always profile related, no matter where you find it. So I'm going to go ahead, go to his profile, set it to invisible. He won't even see the rating field if he's assigned that profile. So I'll go to the profile of interest here. Go to Joe. Remember that I don't want to hit edit. I'm going to scroll down. Oh, I'm on his user, excuse me. Custom sales profile. Do not hit edit. Scroll down, find field level security. In this case, I'm going to hit view next to accounts. I'll select edit. Oops. Cancel. Sorry. Yeah, that was right. Edit. And then I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to make the rating field invisible by unchecking both the boxes. that means the user assigned that profile won't see that field at all. That column is hidden. So now if I log in as Joe, we look at an account record that Joe has access to, and he won't even see the rating field because it's read only. And that, everybody, takes us to the end of class today. So I would say if you haven't completed the security homework, do it between now and Thursday. But you'll notice that rating field does not exist for Joe here.
So Ryan, I know everyone's probably going to be leaving here, but a good user story in this situation is the reason why you would do field level security. We did it earlier in class. Someone was trying to make an ID, or for example, if we were trying to do a social security number, we didn't want that profile to see the social security number. That's when we'd apply that field level security.
You could, or you might just leave it encrypted. What I would normally say is a better example of this would be a field like commission.
Oh God.
You know, do you want inside sales seeing what outside sales is making?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. I get it.
The field exists in the table, but the user assigned that profile does not need to see the column.
Right, because different salespeople make different commissions. Yep, I got it.
Just the information isn't pertinent to what they're doing. I don't want them to have more access or permission than they need. Make sense?
Yeah.
So as usual, I have a hard stop at 4 today.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks, everybody. I feel like we had some aha moments today.
Yeah.
Proven.
Good.
Very good.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, everybody. 5 and 6, as far as the previous sessions, are up on the Google, the YouTube channel. So if you didn't catch those or you need to see them again, they're up there. They ain't pretty, but they're up there.
Thanks, Ryan.
I appreciate everybody's time and attention. I will see you in a couple days, right?
Yep.
Thanks, y'all.